Hello and welcome to Charter Local Edition Northwest. Today we're in Olympia, we're in the beautiful stateroom enjoying some of the antique furniture, and we're talking about what our elected leaders are doing for you. My guest today is Republican Senator Doug Ericksen. He represents the 42nd District in Northwestern Washington. And Doug, thank you for joining us.
Hey, my pleasure. Great to be here.
Really appreciate it. You're a big advocate for energy and agriculture, and talk to us about what's happening this session as far as advancing energy and also protecting agriculture.
Oh, you betcha. Yeah, I serve as chair of the Senate Energy, Environment, and Telecommunications Committee, which works out very well for my district, where we have a lot of energy sources up there. I think the key thing people are concerned about right now is safety. When it comes to their energy issues. Right now in Washington State, we're transitioning from Alaskan crude to a lot more oil coming out of the Dakotas via trains. And so we have very important legislation we're working on this year to make sure that the rail cars are safe, because they move through so many communities in Washington State. We have to make sure we're taking steps to protect citizens.
What do you think needs to happen as far as generating any nuclear power, or are you opposed to that?
Well, this last year, actually, I served on a committee. We formed it last year. It was called the Climate Legislative Executive Work Group. It was members of the legislature, and Governor Inslee served as chair, and we were trying to take a look at new energy for the future that would be less polluting than what we have today. And nuclear energy is one of those issues that keeps rising to the top in terms of a future energy source if you're concerned about carbon production. And so actually we just passed a bill out of the state Senate which creates a new nuclear task force to look at ideas for how we can move forward on this industry in Washington State, to build upon what we currently have, but also to understand new technology. And nuclear is always so scary to people because it can be very scary. You hear about accidents that happen around the world, but new technology is much safer, so we need to educate people on that, and moving away even from the large nuclear facilities to what they call small modular nuclear reactors to produce electricity. It's an exciting issue, and Washington State has a chance to be a leader on it.
One of the concerns with generating new energy and being in a heavily agricultural area like you are is that any threat or information out about some type of nuclear contamination can really crush our #1 industry, and so that really cuts both ways.
Oh, without a doubt. You know, here in Washington State we have the Hanford legacy nuclear waste, which came about from the war effort. And there's a lot of confusion out there with people with regards to that waste, the leaking tanks we hear about, and our Energy Northwest facility over in the Tri-Cities also, which produces electricity currently for the grid. Two totally separate issues, but people keep hearing about the leaky tanks and keep thinking Energy Northwest. So we're working hard to educate people on that. Just last year, we had a leak over one of the tanks that was reported in the news, and foreign countries stopped trying to import our hay from Eastern Washington. So we had to work with the foreign countries to assure them that there was no threat to human health and safety from what was happening in Hanford.
Well, when you're overseas, the geography can look so close. And if you're thinking about where Hanford is versus where most of the hay production is in Ellensburg, that's quite a distance, but someone in Japan doesn't really know that.
Exactly. You hear about nuclear issues like that. That's why we have to be really careful about how we talk to people. It's about education, and again, getting back to that key issue of safety. You know, people want to feel secure, whether it's talking about nuclear power and what we're doing, whether it's talking about oil cars moving through their communities, or whether we're talking about tankers coming out of Alaska. We have a great system to be proud of in Washington State. We're environmental leaders. We're doing things right. The rest of the world comes to us to see how to do things well, but we have to make sure that we're also letting the people of Washington State know how good of a job we're doing.
All right, well, thank you so much. We appreciate your time. I realize you're very busy at this time of year. You're right in the middle of the session. And so we appreciate your time to come and talk with us.
Oh, it's great to have a chance to talk to the people of Washington.
Senator Doug Ericksen, I'm Dana Cowley. You're watching Charter Local Edition Northwest.